You're about to listen to the Brand Experience Podcast with your host, Fred Ranger. Hey everyone, this is Fred Ranger. Hope you're doing good. First off, Happy New Year. It's January 2nd here in Montreal. And I'm really happy to be back behind the mic because it's been a long time. I've been busy with, I guess, what you call life. And I hope you guys have been able to connect with your loved ones over the holidays. And I hope that this will not be just over the holidays. I hope that the holidays actually brought you to a state of mind where you want to do this all the time. You want to focus a little bit less on the material stuff or on the money or on all this great stuff. And again, go back to the really important stuff, which is family, friends, experiences. Speaking of experiences, welcome to the Brand Experience Podcast, where we talk about how brands are using marketing and communications to create meaningful experiences that truly matters. And I think in my last podcast, I was trying to make a point about the fact that marketing is dead. Easier said than explainable. But one thing for sure is that the way companies now think about marketing, and I'm part of a big company that thinks about profit and EBITDA and all these buzzwords, but ultimately, I think one thing that's reassuring is that companies are starting to look at marketing as a way to connect with people. And when you connect with people, it's one thing to market to them, but to connect with them requires a different state of mind. And let me explain that. First off, the traditional marketing thinking was to create messages that would influence people's behavior. Well, if you think about the way companies are marketing today, and I mean, there are still companies marketing in a very traditional way, which is shouting your messages as loud as you can to try to influence people to buy something or to do something. Well, what I'm seeing now as a new trend is literally companies that are changing the way they do marketing. And one way of doing that is by, like I said, reverse engineering people's behavior and adapting to it. So did you just heard what I say? Companies adapting to people? Yeah, that's what they do. And this is the true, real marketing of 2017 and beyond. It's when you get to know your customers, your potential customers, to a point where you basically mold or adapt your strategies, your communications, your client support departments to what the client really needs and really wants. And that, again, might sound a bit wishy-washy, but when you start thinking about it, the way companies make money is when trust is being established between people and their brand. So how do you establish trust? Well, when you think about it, how do you do it in your couple? How do you do it in your families? Well, it's by connecting and talking and sharing your experiences and adding value, helping them. I think help is the best marketing ever. It doesn't take a rocket science to understand that if you help people, if you add value to their lives, people are more inclined to respond to that, to go back to you and to literally give you their money or give you their trust, more importantly, and then follow your next step, follow you around the journey. A great example of that is Peak Design. I mean, when you think about the way Peak Design is a bag manufacturer. They started off in the photography world, and if you follow my feeds, you know that I'm, pretty big on photography, and I kind of like the art of photography and also the science of it. But I tend to look at how camera manufacturers and the whole industry is adapting to the reality of the fact that photographers are artists. Photographers don't want to be talked to or market to the same way as shoes companies are marketing to people. So I tend to look at this industry and literally mimic or try to understand how they do it. And again, Peak Design is a great example where they listen so much to their customers or to their potential customers that they design a bag on Kickstarter, and it's one of the most successful Kickstarter campaign, if not the most successful, maybe after Oculus. They design a bag that literally is the fruit of listening to their customers for so many hours, months, years. And they also went to Kickstarter, not because it was hype and it was cool. They went to Kickstarter because they really wanted to keep the company growing, but organically, by the community, for the community, providing value, adding value, providing updates every single week on where the project was, and also getting feedback from their older products and building a new one and keeping them informed of the next move. So for me, this was the best marketing campaign ever. They could have bought Peak Design is a pretty successful company now. They could have bought some radio spots or some TV ads or you name it. But no, they decided to go closer to their communities, listen to them, build a product that was responding to their needs, to their client needs, build on the community, rely on them to amplify the message, and holy moly, was it a successful campaign. Not just a Kickstarter campaign, but I would consider that as one of the most successful marketing campaign of modern era. I'll put the link in the description of the show description. I really entice you to go see the Peak Design website, YouTube channel, Kickstarter page, and you'll understand that this is not your traditional media mix for the media planners that are listening to this podcast. So I wanted to give you this message in early 2017 because I think we need to change as marketers. We need to change our mindset. We need to be the influencers in companies when it comes to thinking about ways to connect with audiences, whether it's your existing ones that are very important or potential audiences that might be interested in your product or services. That's it for me. I've been Fred Ranger. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email or go to fredranger.com/podcast and be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Google Play or even SoundCloud. Yeah, I'm putting my podcast on SoundCloud too. And let me know if you have any questions. I've been Fred Ranger. This is the Brand Experience Podcast, and see you next time.